Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. My guest today is my longtime friend, Samantha Horwitz, who's a former special agent with the U.S. Secret Service. And of course, if I invite a special agent for the Secret Service, we're going to talk today about what happened a few weeks ago when former President Trump was shot by a guy who was prone on the roof of a building nearby while he was giving a speech during his campaign in Pennsylvania. Thanks for your time, Samantha. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and it's great to be back with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because what I haven't said is that we already made an interview a few years ago because you're also 9/11 responder. So I'll add in the description to this video the link to the original article that we made a few years ago so that people can also read your 9/11 story, which was quite something. And I do recommend all my viewers to go read that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Samantha, before we start with getting into it, would you like to tell us something about who you are, what's your background, and what you did in the Secret Service?
Yeah, you said it. I'm a former U.S. Secret Service agent, also local law enforcement, and did that for over a decade. And part of the Secret Service is our protection division, and right now, as it stands, it's there are two things the Secret Service does. One is protection, which everybody knows because we're standing next to presidents, former presidents, first ladies, foreign dignitaries, dark suits and sunglasses. And then second to that is the investigations that we're responsible for. If you're detailed outside of Washington, D.C., you will be assigned to an investigative squad. I served on the Electronic Crimes Task Force in the New York field office. So all of my work is out of the New York field office. We supplemented a lot of presidential protection details and formers. We had the Clintons who made their home in New York after he was out of the White House. So that was right in our backyards. We were detailed to that, and lots of experience as your listeners and can imagine, and your people watching. New York's a really busy place, and you jump in and you get your experience super quick.
Yeah, it's a very busy place, all time, all seasons. So we're going to talk about what happened to former President Trump a few weeks ago. We already summarized what happened. So a 20-year-old guy by the name of Thomas Crooks was on a roof, and he managed somehow to shoot him, and it missed him by a matter of really less than an inch, very few millimeters. So first off, who was responsible for assessing the scene? Was it the Secret Service or the local police? So who should we... I'm not saying blame because everyone is doing the best.
Oh no, you can blame. Secret Service bears the responsibility 100%. We always relied on local help because the Secret Service is so small. But in this kind of, as a former president and running for president again, threats were known. We have an intel division, and the Secret Service dropped the ball. That's an expression in the U.S. that we say that they dropped the ball. They were 100% responsible for securing that site, and they failed miserably. Okay. And that's being nice.
No, I like you not sugarcoating it. Talking about failure and blame, but if they were responsible, how come that roof was left out of the security perimeter? That's beyond me.
I mean, now those were the questions that myself and other agents now retired, we call ourselves the old timers. This is what occurred and what everybody is hearing. This is not the way we were trained way back when. I don't know, and we collectively don't know what the heck has been going on at the Secret Service, since we've moved on with our careers, but is definitely not the level of professionalism, not the level of in-depth work, and just not the training that we received. And how a building that is, that building is within the security perimeter. I think at this point, if the people, that watch you, because you bring so much incredible content about so many different things, to the forefront for discussion, that if they're watching the testimony, we now have a former director, Cheadle, and now a new acting director, Rowe. The cover-up game is being played. This is absolutely, it's beyond, it's beyond not doing your job. You cannot sit back and just say, oh, well, things got missed, or, there's some incompetence. This is like gross negligence that borders on some, what I believe, I would hope would possibly result in this director, the acting director, Rowe, being asked to step down or being fired. But I believe this goes all the way to the top. So we're talking Department of Homeland Security, Secretary Mayorkas. It goes all the way to the top, and it is looking more and more like one of the worst political things to happen in the United States since JFK. The outright attempted removal of a political candidate. And that's something that we don't do here in the United States unless we do it now. Our country is in a very precarious place right now, because we have an unsecured homeland. It's called Department of Homeland Security for a reason. And we have an invasion going on in the border. I live in Texas. It is an outright invasion. What is going on there is, besides the drugs coming over, the people coming over, the murders that have been committed, and we're talking of children. In Houston yesterday, an illegal was arrested for dumping a newborn baby in a dumpster. I mean, our homeland is under attack, and there is nobody to secure it because we cannot trust the Department of Homeland Security.
I think that the closest thing that happened to the shooting on Trump in recent years would be the shooting on President Reagan in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Means that,
I mean, it's in terms of security breakdown. I don't know that we can call, the shooting of President Reagan having so many I'll say nefarious allegations, if that's a fair word, way to explain it. Definitely knew about the shooter real quick. There wasn't certainly contradictory testimony being given like there is now. And it's really disturbing. This should disturb people greatly. It's very disturbing, and it's frankly disheartening. I mean, I'm looking at the demise and the downfall of an agency that had the best reputation when I was in. I mean, you had to do a lot to get the invitation to become a Secret Service agent. It was an invitation. Now it's just like anybody's being given the green light. And if that's the case, it's showing badly.
I understand. Okay. So you said that it was the Secret Service responsibility to assess the scene, and that roof was left out of the perimeter for reasons that we don't understand. It was just negligence. But there's something else which is very weird. The suspect was spotted like half an hour before the speech started, and still no one did anything. How come?
Well, look, the Secret Service, when it comes to protection, it is the ultimate team sport. You've got the protective intelligence team, you've got a site advance team, you've got the detail lead that's assigned directly to the protectee. You have got liaisons with the locals. You've got a lot of Secret Service agents and a lot of assignments in order to pull off what we deem a successful event, i.e. safe, nobody gets hurt, certainly nobody gets killed, guns don't go off. You don't have just an outright violation of security protocol. I can tell you from serving in the different roles is there's no way that shooter gets onto that roof. That shooter was identified as a suspicious person or a person of interest when he was viewed with the rangefinder. And at that point, he should have been approached. He should have been escorted off that property. He should have been questioned. And, you know, depending on how he answered those questions, that person's not getting, Crooks is not getting back into that event. You have people babysit him until that event is over. And while you're babysitting, you are finding out more information. Are there more people in there that he's with? Did he come by himself? We know that he had multiple explosive devices. Where are those? Thank God that they didn't get detonated at the site. There is so much, like I said, you look at this, he never gets on the roof. Not only does he never get on the roof, but President Trump never gets on that stage. Yeah, it is. We call it on the X. He never gets there.
And moreover, before the shooter fired, there was someone in the crowd yelling, "There's a guy on the roof, there's a guy on the roof," or something like that. And in that very moment, the police is inside that same building. So I should ask you here, is that normal procedure? But of course it's not. So my question is not, is that normal procedure? Is how come something that dumb happened?
It's not, there's a lot of back and forth with that. We still don't know why that local element was inside the building instead of being outside the building, somebody being on the roof, it was too hot. The slope, all that stuff, that's just made up. So we're still trying to determine what exactly the role was it was a local element. So that means non-Secret Service. It was the local police department. Yeah. So why were they inside? I don't know. From a security standpoint, you don't have them inside. They're supposed to be outside to eliminate any ideas of getting into or onto that building. Now, whether or not somebody from that element was supposed to be on that roof, we're still waiting to get like 100% concrete answers from the acting director now. But more disturbing, and what we now know, is that there was communication about the shooter. There's a video that is out that I'm sure you've seen by now. One of the people in the crowd that was shot twice.
Yeah.
That person from his cell phone, you can see the shooter on the roof. We know from the testimony that there was communication, that there was an issue at I'm quoting, at 3 o'clock, which for your listeners, we call out using a clock. So the 12 o'clock would be in front of you, 6 o'clock would be behind you, 3 o'clock is going to be at your right, 9 o'clock is going to be at your left. So that's the clock system that we use. So if there's an issue at 3 o'clock, it's on the radio. People are hearing this. They're being notified. There's no addressing of that. We hear the acting director making excuses by showing a schematic on his testimony about how difficult the shot would be. Director Rowe, we know what the timeline is. You had a call out that there's an issue at 3 o'clock, totally ignored, and we know that there were 30 seconds went by from the moment that he was seen on that roof and that the call went out to that first shot being fired. That's an eternity. And if we sat here on this screen for 30 seconds and said nothing, your audience would be like, you're frozen. What's going on? Where'd you go? Why aren't you speaking? I mean, it's an eternity. In 30 seconds, a detail would be getting Donald Trump off that stage, into that limousine, and out of there. So it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Well, let's get into the details. Do you think that the Secret Service had enough agents on the scene?
No. What I have heard and I understand is that there were only 3 United States Secret Service agent called post standers. So you have different levels of security within whatever your site looks like. And most of the time, especially dealing with somebody who is of he's a former president.
Yeah.
You're not having 3 post standers in the detail. And then you have counter sniper, one counter sniper element from the service, and then the locals. That is unheard of, unacceptable. Again, not the way we learned how to lock down a site. And there should have been the counter surveillance team should have been inside, milling in the crowd, in the stands, around the grounds. You would have had post standers with a magnetometer team, and the magnetometer team is run by the uniform division of the Secret Service. So there's 2 divisions of the Secret Service. And then you have your counter sniper team, your CAT team, that's what we call them. They're also from the uniform division. So they're not agents. The agents would be with the MAG team. They would be at that building. They might have been on the roof, but again, Crooks never makes it on that roof.
In the first place, yes. Maybe I'm thinking there's also another problem with the training of these agents, because there's also video in which one of the agents is not able to reholster her gun, and she has to try a couple of times, and then she gives up.
That caught me, like, that is a motion. There's one thing that the Secret Service prides itself on, and it is training. Okay. You do things thousands of times so that you build muscle memory. Your gun coming out of the holster, addressing a threat, sending a round out, whatever it is, and then reholstering your firearm, that should be like getting out of bed when your alarm goes off in the morning. I don't know what that was. There was obviously severe stress or body alarm response. And so when the body is under stress, if you're not trained, you see some interesting things. I don't know what that was, but clearly some remedial training is needed. You look at the detail for President Trump. Sorry, I'm 5'6". I can't grow big enough. I can't get big enough to cover somebody that is 6'4". I for the life of me, I don't understand. We have extremely capable women in the Secret Service. There are agents that are, and it's for the agents that are caught in the middle of this, that I feel your pain, because know that you've got support out here. We know you're doing a good job, and it is really tough right now for the female agents out there who went through the training, who sacrificed a lot, who came home every day with bruises. And I mean, my mom used to say, why are you doing this? Because I'd come home with bruises thrown around a mat room. That's how you learn. You immerse yourself in it. It's not that I wanted to come home hurt. It's the nature of the job. People get hurt, but I have a no quit attitude. I played sports my whole life. I was going to do this. This was my choice to become an agent, and I wasn't going to quit at it. I don't know what their training is like now. When we moved into the Department of Homeland Security, we moved into this huge bureaucracy. And what comes out of large bureaucracies? Nothing good. And now the Secret Service is just, it's a nightmare. And so for all the agents that, you know, examine your future and see if maybe there might be something else out there. But if your heart is in it, keep your heart in it. Keep doing the job that you know how it's supposed to be done. And if you need to speak up and speak out, then do it. But let's not paint lots of people like to paint everybody with a broad brush. You know, if a surgeon messes up your surgery and you amputates the wrong leg, you don't paint all surgeons as bad, right?
Yeah.
We cannot paint a broad brush with every single agent. The agents that were there on that day, everybody connected to that specific event, oh boy. You gotta really have some self-examination and move on. The Secret Service may not be for you. On the bigger picture, what we're hearing is that these agents may have asked for additional assets and additional team members, whatever, from the locals and from Secret Service. And if they got denied, that's all on the leadership. And my opinion is that the leadership, they all need to go all the way up, including Secretary Mayorkas. The whole thing needs to be redone. And if the Secret Service needs to move out and be put somewhere else, yeah, you know, that's way above my pay grade. But clearly changes need to be made.
You already said something about the snipers who acted, well, effectively, but actually it took them forever to intervene and to kill the guy because he managed to shoot like, I think 8 bullets, something like that, but a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something common for the Secret Service to have snipers shooting people. I mean, it's much more common to have to prevent an attack like that and to respond to an attack like that. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yes, I mean, the Secret Service does their job effectively to prevent any kind of security threat, or a protectee getting injured. And that's not just at, you know, in this case, President Trump's level or the presidential level. We do this, the Secret Service does this, and I keep saying we because
Sure.
that part of me never left. You can see my patch. I still got my patch right there. That's the New York field office patch. We again are trained to prevent any kind of instance like this, for the protectee, whether they be a member of the UN or, you know, a foreign dignitary coming into district, and we're tasked with protecting them, to the President of the United States. And obviously those details look different based upon the threat level. You still have intel, you still want to know the threat level. You know, because the president of, I don't know, Norway, it is going to have a different intel, different threat level, kind of outlook. And we have reports that are written on this than, you know, the president of Egypt or Iran. You know, it's going to look different, and that dictates what your asks are to the higher ups in order to fulfill the needs of that detail. How many vehicles you're going to need, how many armored vehicles are you going to need, how many follow-up vehicles are you need, you know. And it is just unfortunate that as this fallout continues from, you know, it's coming up on like 3 weeks ago, that the Secret Service not only doesn't have enough people to fulfill the roles and the manpower needs, they don't have enough technology, they don't have enough people going through training to you know, fill the pipeline. You gotta wonder, like, what what is going on? Truly, I hear it's like $6 trillion, $4 trillion, $6 trillion. I mean, it's like this huge, where's the money? You know, everybody with all of these things going on around the world, follow the money. Well, yeah, we got to follow the money. Why don't we have these things to safely protect people?
If we were to draw a bottom line here, what went wrong in that situation? Was it lack of leadership? Was it lack of coordination? Was it lack of communication? Was it lack of training? Up to you.
Yes,
All of
all of
them?
the above, all of the above. But it ultimately rests with leadership. The leaders, the people that run the Secret Service and above, are responsible for asset allocation, are responsible for training people, are responsible for everything. And are there agents that have to answer? Yes. And what that's going to look like, whether I can't imagine they're going to be, it's going to be like on camera for the public to see. It would probably be behind closed doors. But everything has to change. There's no excuse. The Secret Service plays the toughest game in law enforcement. It's a zero fail mission, zero. That's a pretty high bar. And you better be training every single day to keep that bar up there.
But do you think that the level of the service has decreased generally, or was that a one-off event?
So let's ask your question a different way.
Sure.
Just whatever you want to ask, because I think I know where you're going, but just ask it. We're
No,
not pulling
okay.
any
I
punches
mean,
here.
how do you think that the Secret Service performs their duty on a daily basis? Because something like that hasn't happened in 40 years, as we said. So
Right.
what I'm wondering is, do you think this is a single event that happened just once, or is the level generally decreasing?
I think you have to look at the protectee. At this point, where the investigation, everything the investigation has uncovered, unfortunately, I think you have to look at the protectee and you have to ask yourself, well, is this going to happen to, is there a possibility because of what we saw that nobody is safe because it's that bad, or is it something more sinister, I'll say, where President Trump is not safe? Look, we know he's not safe. We know the security footprint for him based upon the threat assessments. He has not been safe for a very long time. Additional assets were asked for and denied.
Mm.
Well, you have to look at where that denial came from. In my personal opinion, do I think it starts and stops with the acting director, Director Rowe? Nope. You look higher. Look higher. And that's why you see things being covered up. People are smart. Leonard, the people that watch you, that absorb your content, that take it in, that examine it, that ask the hard questions, keep asking questions. Keep looking deeper. Why the cover up? Why the inability to answer directly to some pretty simple questions that these senators are asking? You should know how many people are detailed to President Trump. That's an easy question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You should know based upon this site assessment, which we're hearing now that a site assessment may not even have been done. And if that is the case, oh my.
We have a few ongoing investigations in parallel. Do you think that they will shed some light on what happened? Because as you said, it's still covered in, mist, to say the least.
I don't know. I do not have confidence in our government right now and the way that it is operating. And yes, I was a federal agent. I worked for the government. A lot of I'll call it introspection and research from me personally after 9/11 has shed light on a lot. The prisoner swap that we had people should be asking a lot of questions saying that doesn't make sense. I don't know that we'll ever get to the bottom of this because the powers that be, the people that are in power right now in the United States of America, they're doing everything that they can to keep themselves there. And the people, the citizens of our country are suffering for it badly.
I just would like to make it clear for my viewers that we are not saying that 9/11 was staged or anything of the sort. We're saying that the government made mistakes in preventing it. We're not saying, so go read Samantha's 9/11 story if you have doubts, if you want to clarify. But
yeah,
we're not saying that it was done by the government. It was done by
right. Draw your own conclusions. We're not saying that. Draw your own conclusions. But like I said, keep asking questions, keep digging. Anybody, wherever you live, wherever you're watching this from, if you know, your country as well, we have to hold our elected officials accountable. They work for us. We don't work for them.
Of course.
And from our media to our elected officials at every level, they're not doing a great job. And people like you and I are the ones going, what's going on here?
Yeah, trying to shed some light. What improvements do you think that this incident will bring to the Secret Service? Actually, I think that you're pretty pessimistic, but still, I would like to hear your opinion.
Oh, improvements. My goodness, there has to be a whole lot of improvement. We got to get rid of the leadership. That's it. All the way to the top. Mayorkas goes as well. Really what needs to be done is a full examination of the role of the Secret Service. And, you know, I think that we still have political leaders that would be involved in this. So as long as we've got politics involved, nothing I think ultimately is going to be optimal. It's gotta be better than what we just saw. But I think there needs to be an examination of hiring practices. That's for what caliber of people are we hiring? They need to be made much more stringent if they've been relaxed. They need to look at training. Does training need to go on longer? Are we missing certain things in training? And then assets in the field. And I mean physical assets in the field, not people assets. Physical, like what kind of technology do we need to improve on? What technology do we even have? What technology needs to be brought to the Secret Service for it to be able to do a better job? And then you look at the people, when you're talking about investigation squads, how many people need to be in an investigation squad? Can we bring more people and have them be on protection? It's going to be a very lots of moving parts, very fluid for certainly the next bunch of months. We'll see what happens in November to see if we have a full-on let's start this whole thing over. Let's get the Secret Service out from Department of Homeland Security, or certainly moved around. Let's get the bureaucratic way of functioning out of the Secret Service so that something can actually get done and be done well, like when I was in. Every aspect of it has to be examined. Every single one, all the way to, like, do we have enough government vehicles? Are agents able to just get in a car and go do their job, what they're tasked to do, or are they swapping? And I know about that because after 9/11, we lost our entire fleet of vehicles. And we had to do a lot of coordinating, and people had to carpool, but we got it done. We got it done. So from top to bottom.
Hope so. Yeah, definitely. Hope so. Well, Samantha, many thanks for your explanations. I think we reached the end of this episode, and I think that you gave a very interesting insight about what happened with your very unique angle, because I think that we rarely get the occasion to hear the voice of people who used to work for the Secret Service, so who actually know how this thing works. So thanks again for accepting my invitation for today.
Well, you're very welcome, and thank you to all of your listeners who really want to know what's going on.
Thanks everybody else for watching this, and see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.